Hey guys, so glad to have you guys here. If you're looking for a different type of Cricut Christmas project, then you're in luck, because today we're going to be making these super fun Christmas photo booth props. And if you've ever wondered how to do one of those larger than matte Cricut projects, you're going to learn how to do this as well. And these photo booth props, they're really fun for Christmas parties and celebrations, but with the tips and tricks that you're going to learn in today's video, you're going to be able to make these for other holidays and occasions as well. So make sure to head to my blog at svgnation.com to download these files. You're going to find a link in the video description that will take you directly there. Okay, once you upload the SVG file, this is what it's going to look like. I'm going to start with the elf first, and then we'll do the Santa. So if you're only making the Santa, you can skip ahead a little. You are going to notice that there is this warning right here that says that this image is too large, so it's not supported by this. And I'm going to show you what you can do so that you can cut projects that are too large to fit on your standard 12 by 12 or 12 by 24 mats. And the same tips that we're using here, you can use on any project. So if you want to make, other larger than life matte projects, like party decorations or maybe extra large shirts or blanket, you can follow these same steps here to be able to do that. So the first thing we need to undo is ungroup all of our layers. And from here, if you scroll down some, there's a lot of layers here. This is a very intricate project, but it's actually very easy and fun to put together. You're going to see, candy canes and all of these extra layers right here. These are just decorative pieces. So if you want to decorate it differently, then just delete those layers. That way your Cricut doesn't cut it out and waste paper. So I'm going to just zoom out a little bit because we do want to be able to see what I'm doing. Here we go. This looks like a good size. So the first thing we need to do is figure out what pieces are too big to cut. And all of my cardstock that I'm using is 12 by 12, except for one. The one that I'm going to cut the snowflakes and the snowy bottom right here with is a letter size, because I just like that white glitter for this better that I have this letter size. So what you got to do is you need to click on here, and I just want to make sure all of these are within 11.5 by 11.5 dimensions, because that's how large you can cut with the 12 by 12. And so most of these are going to be just fine. Again, if you have like letter paper you're cutting on, then you might have to cut some of these that I'm not, or slice them, I guess. But right here, I do know we need to slice this one. As you see, the width is over 13 inches. So to do that, we're just going to go over here to our shapes, and I'm going to add a square. And we're just going to resize this. So it's about halfway through, and now I've just selected both of these layers, and you just hold down Shift to select more than one layer, and we are going to slice this. And once you slice it, you can remove this box layer and this gray layer it left on top. We do not need that. So now we have two pieces, and do check your sizes. Make sure you sliced it correctly, that they are going to fit. And these pieces, once they are put right up against each other, you're not even going to notice that you sliced them. And that's going to be the same for like iron on vinyl. So this is definitely something that you can do for a lot of projects. All right, so we do need to slice this one as well. It's pretty big. I'm going to do my best to only slice it a few times. So I'm going to just try to slice it once down here, so I don't have to slice this part in half, because I don't think the width of this is bigger than 11. Nope, it's not. Okay, so that's a perfect size right there. And now this we are going to have to slice in half again. And you guys can go up here and hit this unlock proportion button, and that is going to give you more control over this, so you don't just have to do a square. So however you prefer. It doesn't have to be exact how you slice these. You just want to make sure that the pieces are going to cut. And so we have 9 by 10 here and 8 by 6 here. And then the last piece that we need to slice is our snow, and you may not want to use the snow and you can just delete it, but if you're using the snow, go ahead and slice that in half, or half-ish. And if you do find like long cardstock that's like 12 by 24 and use a 12 by 24 sheet, like Cricut mat, well then there's a lot less cropping you're probably going to have to do, but most of the cardstock I find is 12 by 12. Alright, so I've just added Santa here. because we have the elf ready to go. All this all these other pieces, this green shirt, it's 9 by 6. This, none of these pieces need cut. They're all within the correct dimensions. So now we've got Santa here, and we need to ungroup him. And we got a few layers on Santa that we also need to crop. Yes, I zoomed in too much. We're going to start with this back layer. This one we're going to need to crop a few times. So I'm going to bring it down here so you can just focus on what I'm doing here. Let's see. We're going to have to go in half and in half on this one because it's just such a big piece. So let's see. I'm going to start by slicing down the middle. Okay. And just select both of those layers and let's slice it. We don't need these pieces, and we're going to go ahead and do this again to slice right through the middle here. And now sadly you can only slice one layer at a time. I'd love to be able to just select both of these layers and slice it, but that's not going to be the case. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to duplicate this layer and place it right on top. I'm just going to move that a little bit. And that way we can slice it pretty evenly with the two. So I'm just going to click on one of those and click on one of these layers that I want to slice and slice it. And that box will still be there because it's the second box that I added. And we're going to go ahead and slice that. And you don't have to do it that way. I just did it that way so they'll match up nicely. And I'm just going to check 9.5, 9.5, 9. So all of these are going to fit on my 12 by 12 cardstock. And you want to check as you go because if you sliced it incorrectly, you can just undo it. But if you get to like the end of your project and you go to cut it and you realize you sliced something incorrectly, you might have to undo a lot of things to get to that. So just make sure that after you slice them, you just check the dimensions. And I know, speaking from, personal mistakes, I've sat here and sliced everything and thought it was ready to go and realized I didn't. I got it wrong, so. And so this one, we're just going to slice in half. So we've got a 7 by 9 and another 7 by 9. So we're good here. And that one's a good piece. We're good with that. Now we do need to slice this one as well. So Santa requires a little more slicing. But guys, this is actually really fun to assemble. It's kind of like putting a puzzle together, but not a hard puzzle. So it's kind of like really fun and enjoyable. This is a great project, in my opinion, to just put on like a really good playlist. And you'll see why when you start cutting these, the cutting process, it's going to take a little bit of time, but not too long. And as I cut them, I kind of start putting them in like a puzzle. But this is just a fun one. A project that you don't have to think too hard on. It's just really fun. So all of these are good. I keep going back and forth, but put some music on and have fun with this one because you don't have to think too much when you're gluing and assembling these. So it's just a really relaxing project and a fun one to do. So I think we've got everything sliced here. And guys, if you want to change any of the colors, let's go here. I do have this, I've got them already colored the way I'm cutting them. But actually, I am going to change. These are the faces. Since not much goes on this skin colored layer, I'm going to add the faces here. Because it does not matter what color the faces are. You're just using them as like a template and you're cutting around it. So that way it all cuts on one sheet. I have these on a different red because these are my red glitter. But you can just drag them here if you just want to use the regular red. And same thing with the whites. I'm using a white glitter, so I have these a different color. So you can change the colors, but if you're going to be making it the same way I am, then you don't need to change anything here. So we're ready to make this, and when you go to make it, you're going to be able to see if you got everything sliced correctly, because if it's not, you're going to see the preview of the long mat. And so this looks good. We got them all on the right size mat, so hooray. But for this one, I am using a letter size. So you do need to go through, and if you're using any letter size, before you start cutting, you need to change that. So now that's going to automatically, and it's going to change all of them that are that same color. Okay, so everything here is good. It's ready to cut. I'm not going to make you watch me cut all this, but pause this if you're following along and then resume back once you have everything cut out. So once all of your pieces are cut out, you're going to go ahead and place all of your pieces together, but don't start gluing them down yet. So it's kind of like you're building a puzzle right now. And then make sure that all of your pieces are placed correctly before you start gluing them, because you don't want to glue anything on backwards. You may need to flip some of the pieces over for them to fit properly, so just make sure that you piece all of this first. And I'm not sure if I mentioned this yet or not, but I am using a 20 by 28 inch foam board, and this is the size that I recommend using. You will need to resize the graphics in Design Space if you are using a different size, and that is going to change the size of the face cutout. So you really don't want to change the dimensions too much. And I found these poster boards at Target, and it's a very standard size for poster boards, so you really shouldn't have a hard time finding these. And then once it's all together, move all of your pieces except for like your black outline layer and the face off of your board. But when you move them, make sure that you keep them all facing the correct way. That way you know exactly what side goes up when you're ready to glue them on. And then just use either like glue or tape so that you can glue your face cutout to the board. And you don't need to use too much. You just need to use enough that it holds it in place so that you can cut around it. So I'm just putting a little dot of hot glue on it because that's going to dry super quick and it's going to hold it there. And then once it's in place, go ahead and remove the rest of the pieces from your board. And then using an X-Acto knife or something similar, I'm actually using a heavy-duty X-Acto knife that I found at Hobby Lobby. You're just going to cut around the face shape. And depending on what surface you're working on, you may want to put a cutting board under this, so don't go messing up your countertops. And definitely do not let this part scare you. I've probably used an X-Acto knife like 2 times in my life, and I managed to cut this out. So if I can do it, I definitely know that you guys can do it. And don't worry about it being perfect, because once you add the pieces to your project, you are really not going to see the imperfections from your cut. Trust me, mine is a hot mess, but you really can't tell. So just pop the piece out once you have it all cut out. And now is the fun part. You can start gluing everything on. Go ahead and start with your black layer, which is going to be the base of your design, and go ahead and get all of this glued down first. And then if you have everything already turned up and you know where it goes, this part's going to be quick and easy. Just start gluing down, your hat, your outfits, and all the accessories. And as far as the glue goes, you do want to use something that is meant for paper crafts. If you use a kid craft glue like Elmer's, it's just going to leave your paper looking wet and wrinkled, and it's not going to be as professional looking. I'm using a glue that I got off Amazon, and it's called Barely Art Precision Craft Glue, and it's really great for paper crafts if you need a recommendation. And guys, this is a project that you guys can have your kids help you with. They're going to love putting this together. It's really fun for them to assemble it because it's like a puzzle at first, and then it's really easy for them to glue the pieces down. So it's something that they can do completely on their own, except you'll probably be the one that, cuts the foam board for them. I definitely don't recommend having them do that. But like I mentioned earlier, you can also make photo props like this for any theme party. So just search for like an SVG if you're having, a mermaid theme, a unicorn, Mickey Mouse, whatever the theme is, and find an SVG file. You are going to want a true SVG file, so don't use like a JPEG or anything, because you want to be able to resize it to a pretty big size, and an SVG file is going to let you do that without losing any of the dimensions, like quality of it. So yeah, just find an SVG file that you like and use that. And if like the face cutout isn't going to look right with the design that you found, because they may not be designed specifically to cut the face out, then you can just cut around the character to make life-size decorations. And you can even attach like 2 pieces of foam board together if you really want like a adult size cutouts. So there's so much that you can do with this type of craft. And you know, because you're using glue and cardstock, these are really cheap to make, but they definitely look really good. And I think they look a lot better than any of like the cheap ones that you can find in the store, and they cost a lot less. So you can have a lot of fun with these. But once you have everything glued down, these are all ready to go. And you are going to do the same thing with Santa for the other design. I'm not going to walk you through everything with Santa, mainly for the sake of time. But I did want to show you how to add the snowy bottom because I totally forgot to do that with the elf. But to add the snowy bottom, just when you glue the bottom part of the base down, don't glue the feet down. Like, you're going to glue the bottom part down, just leave the feet unglued on that layer, and then you'll slide the snow under it, glue the snow down, and then go ahead and glue your feet on top of it. So just remember to do that at the beginning because clearly I forgot to do that with the elf. And so that's all. These are super easy, super fun, and you know, now you can see how these look once they're assembled. If you guys have any questions on how to make these, then make sure to leave those in the comments and I will answer them there. Or you guys can just say hi just to let me know you're here and watching because I love hearing from you guys. And make sure to leave me a like. And if you guys go to make these, please tag me in your post on social media. That way I can share your projects and see what you guys are up to with crafting. And thank you so much for watching. Bye.